Hi, folks. So the new moon in Sagittarius is tomorrow, November the 30th. Now, it's late in the day for me tomorrow. It's tomorrow late evening for me Pacific time. So it'll be December the 1st for a lot of you. And I'm going to do the new moons in Sagittarius video tomorrow. Now, as you guys know, it is not unusual for me sometimes to do the new moon video after new moon. I'm planning to get it done tomorrow, so it's out there, because there's a fair amount of content coming up that I feel like I need to update you guys on. Before I do the new moon video, though, this is a particular video regarding the personal planets moving through Capricorn that I feel like I need to do now, and I'll explain why in a second. Before I dive into everything, a few housekeeping items. First and foremost, we are in the dark of the moon. We are in that 48 to 72 hours prior to a new moon, so it may be hard to get things done. It may be hard to motivate. In some ways, it times very nicely with, at least in the States, with the Thanksgiving holiday, as we head into, what is today? Friday, into Saturday, and even Sunday, even though the new moon will have occurred by Sunday. At least here Pacific time, the moon is still going to be relatively dark. So it's actually a nice way to ease into things. And today and tomorrow, on the 29th and the 30th of November, things may still feel very yin. They may still feel like we're releasing the past month, we're releasing the last cycle. The moon right now is in Scorpio, so there might be a sense of releasing this last month, this last Scorpio month. Bottom line is, don't be surprised if over the next 24, 30 hours or so, there's still a lingering feeling of exhaustion. Can be too strong a word, just malaise or ennui, or not being able to get to things, or feeling like you just need to stare into space, or getting through what needs to be gotten through, but not a lot of vim and vigor and energy to do things. And sometimes this can lead to a kind of despondency and even depression. So just give it till the new moon occurs, and I think for a lot of us, you'll see that the wind will come back into your sails. I am recovering from something. Yesterday, Thanksgiving Day, I was really ill, swollen lymph nodes. I think those of you who've been watching my videos know the past few videos, I was dealing with something, and I'm pretty sure I was dealing with allergies, but because my immune system was compromised, the day before Thanksgiving, I went out to do some grocery shopping, and I think that's when I caught something. Because by the time I got back on Wednesday evening, and yesterday, Thursday, was just, I mean, I was fine, fundamentally. It was not a terrible day at all. But it was an uncomfortable day. You know, I tried to do this video yesterday, and there was just no way. Not only did my voice sound terrible, there was just a lot of phlegm and mucus and everything. So that's still going on, and you might, and you know, between Mercury being retrograde and being under the weather, there's a kind of a slightly out of it quality. This morning I did a reading that was supposed to be a 30-minute reading, but I didn't even know if I'd be able to do it successfully prior to the reading, but of course did it, got through it, and I ended up talking for like an hour, 15 minutes because I thought it was an hour reading. Anyway, stuff like that happens, not a big deal. But it's just that kind of time. We're in the dark of the moon. For someone like me, I'm recovering. The other housekeeping thing, I heard a quote a couple of days ago, attributed to Elizabeth Edwards, whoever that is. Something to the extent of, when the wind isn't behind your sails, you adjust your sails. Something like, when the wind isn't behind her sails, she adjusts her sails. And I thought it was a perfect Mercury retrograde piece of advice or a phrase, especially if Mercury retrograde brings you news or information or a reality check that is disappointing, or that is real, that is clarifying, that gives you a sense of whether something is going to happen or not, move forward or not, whether a certain timeline is going to hold or not, whether things are going to move forward as planned or not. And Mercury's like, excuse me, and Mercury's like, let me just clarify what this is actually going to look like. And if some of that takes the wind out of your sails a little bit, I thought it was great. I was, you know, when I heard that, I was just like, that is a perfect Mercury quote for Mercury retrograde. So I thought I would share that. Also, just a quick friendly reminder, and I'll do this again at the end of the reading. During Mercury retrograde, I'm offering 30-minute check-ins around a single topic or a single subject. These are for $50. So if you're interested in a $50 single topic, single subject reading, you're welcome to reach out to me. You can gift these for the holidays as well. If you want to gift a full hour-long reading, you can contact me. My email address is in the description box below, so you can contact me there, and I can give you the rate for that as well. I know the past few times I've communicated, I'm just like, I don't know what to charge, but now at this point in time, I have some clarity. So both those are still active. So if you're interested in that, email address is below. Okay, why do I want to talk about personal planets going through Capricorn? I've been doing this for a bit. And more recently, maybe about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I talked about the personal planets going through Scorpio and Sagittarius in 2 separate videos. And people seem to have found it useful. You know, part of what I do, or I would imagine astrologers do, is we look at this data in different ways. What is important is that Venus entered Capricorn on November the 11th. It's November the 29th. So Venus has been in Capricorn for a bit. And Venus is going to be in Capricorn till December the 7th. Now, Venus is moving further and further ahead of the Sun and Mercury. Mercury is retrograde and is going to be conjuncting with the Sun on December the 5th, but then after that, Mercury is going to move behind the Sun. The personal planets, gradually, as we head it through December, January, February, they're going to separate for a certain period of time. And then a direct Mercury is going to try and catch up with the Sun. It happens. This is just the way the cycles move. But because Venus, the thing that is happening this week is that, and it's happening on December the 2nd, and I covered this in my weekly overview for this particular week, is that on December the 2nd, on Monday, Venus trines Uranus. Venus in Capricorn trines Uranus in Taurus. And the personal planets square and trine the slower moving planets pretty regularly during the course of the year. Sometimes we make a lot out of these trines. When it comes to Pluto, squaring Pluto, opposing Pluto, conjuncting Pluto, it really makes me sit up. The Uranus stuff, all the other ones do as well. I mean, I think we can feel the energy. But the thing about Venus trine Uranus is it's one of the aspects that is going to be encoded into this new moon in Sagittarius on December the 30th, on November the 30th, or December the 1st, depending on where you are. And it sits a little bit outside of everything else that's going on. I mean, the other things that are going to be encoded into that new moon, for example, are the fact that a retrograde Mercury is going to be trining Chiron. A retrograde Mercury is going to be opposing Jupiter. And December is going to be a month where a lot of focus is going to be in the Sagittarius part of your chart. And I will cover that. I will talk about that both in the new moon and Sag video and in the December overview. I will talk about that. As we head to and close out the arc related to the Aries North Node eclipses by the end of the first week of June of next year, as I've been saying to people, and I said to you, that kind of 3 gates we need to pass. And there's the moving towards the Aries North Node eclipses and dealing with the changes related to Jupiter conjuncting Pluto, Jupiter conjuncting Uranus, Mercury is retrograde, some of this kind of silliness is going to happen. Jupiter conjuncting Uranus in Taurus on April the 20th of this year, which means that Jupiter and Uranus conjuncting created an opening or a portal to move in the direction that is right for you and for your individuality and for your authenticity and for your integrity in the Taurus part of the chart. And changes related to that are going to continue to roll out till about May of next year. Jupiter currently ending and creating and starting a new 12-13 year cycle in Gemini. Those are the more expansive aspects. And then we've also got Saturn trying to stabilize and make us more act responsibly and clean up and structure the Pisces part of the chart. So we've got those long-term, the expansiveness in the houses occupied by Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. And we've also got the need to stabilize, structure the Pisces part of the chart. And as we deal with these kind of longer term goals, especially as we're moving towards the end of the first week of June, as I've said, there are 3 gates that we have to pass through. One of these gates is this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. And as Mercury goes retrograde in Sagittarius, he's going to oppose Jupiter in Gemini, and he's going to square Saturn. And Jupiter himself is getting ready to square Saturn on December the 24th. And this particular energy we will need to look at in the new moon in Sag video tomorrow and the December overview. That's where a lot of the focus is going to be. But outside of this, we've also got this Venus trine Uranus energy. Now, it's in a different part of the chart. It's in the house occupied by Capricorn, and it is supporting Uranus and Taurus, which since 2018 has been trying to get us to move in a direction that is right for us in the Taurus part of our chart, and where changes are currently unfolding till May of next year to support that right direction. Wherever Venus goes, as I've mentioned to you in the Scorpio and the Sagittarius videos that I did about a month and a half ago, she seems to do 2 things. She seems to ask the question, is everything in this house in alignment with what you value and where you want to go? So since November the 11th to December the 7th, Venus, going over the Capricorn part of the chart, gets to ask this question. Is everything in alignment with our values and what we value? Are there any leaks? Are our resources and relationships in the Capricorn part of the chart supporting where we want to go? Or are they creating leaks? And the second thing that Venus will do is she will deliver opportunities, financial opportunities, relationship opportunities, luck, things to apply for, things you hear about, someone reaching out, sometimes an offer, something along those lines. Now, right now we've got the sequence where Venus goes over a certain part of the chart first. And so far we've had Mercury coming in next, and the Sun coming in after that, and the new moon occurring after that. Because Mercury is retrograde, as we head into Capricorn, the sequence will change a little. We've got Venus going over it first, the Sun coming in next, the new moon, and then Mercury coming in last. So Venus goes through Capricorn November 11th to December the 7th. The Sun enters Capricorn on December the 21st. And he'll be there till January the 19th. We have the new moon in Capricorn on December the 30th. And then Mercury comes into Capricorn after going direct in Sag on December the 15th. Mercury comes into Capricorn on January the 8th. By January the 28th, we're done with Capricorn season. I think the new moon in Aquarius is right around that time on Jan 28th, 29th. So even though Venus is moving so far, I mean, at the end of the day, you could say that Capricorn season started November the 11th to Jan 28th. So it's a fairly lengthy season because Venus entered Capricorn November the 11th. But by the time the Sun comes in on December the 21st, it's going to be a very concentrated, focused energy from December the 30th to the end of January that the Sun and the new moon and Mercury are going to create. So the biggest thing that I need to convey to you, 13 minutes in, is that whatever Venus has brought to you in the Capricorn part of the chart, between November 11th and December 7th, somewhere, activities related to that, the Sun coming into Capricorn, particularly the new moon on December the 30th, and then Mercury coming in January the 8th. It may be hard to predict or hard to understand at this point in time, but I just need to let you know that there's almost, there is this gap between December 7th, when Venus enters Aquarius, and December 21st, when the Sun enters Capricorn. So Venus asking her questions in the Capricorn part of the chart, creating opportunities that you may have availed of, be availing of, developing, have concluded on a certain sense. Somewhere activities relate, an awareness, the solar brightness, the connection to source, the action and opportunities related to the new moon on December the 30th, Mercury coming in January the 11th till the end of January, making us think and process mentally and communicate verbally or in writing, really happens in January. And this may not be entirely clear. It may be clear to some of you. You might go, okay, I'll apply to this. And some of it could just be depending on where Capricorn sits in your chart. You may be applying for something. You may be reaching out to someone. You may be assessing something, and you may feel like, you know what, it makes sense. It's around the holidays, and activity around this is going to pick up next as we head, into the beginning of the new year and in January. And if that's how it feels, then this makes sense to you. For me, I have to say it's not entirely clear. I'm clear about what Venus has brought to me between November 11th so far and December 7th, even though we've still got about 8 or 9 days to go till December the 7th. I'm clear about what Venus has brought to me in Capricorn. It's very clear, it's tangible. I'm a little puzzled and confused by what is it that's going to happen surrounding this between December 21st and Jan 28th. And I'm going to wait and see. But that's something I need to let you know. Part of the reason why I need to let you know this is that Venus trines Uranus on December 2nd, and that energy is encoded into the Sag new moon and the month of Sag in December. So even though there's going to be a lot of focus on sorting out issues even though there's going to be a lot of focus sorting out issues related to the Sagittarius part of the chart and the relationship between the Sagittarius house in your chart and how actions and activities and clarifications of the Mercury retrograde there will help Saturn stabilize the Pisces part of the chart and Jupiter create his ending and new beginning in the Gemini part of the chart. That is at the heart of, that is what is going on in December. At the same time, during December, we have to remain open to this Venus trine Uranus and what she might bring in or create from the Capricorn part of the chart that creates a portal or an opening to move in an authentic direction in the Taurus part of our chart that then moves into the realm of action, activity, cognition, communication between December 22nd and the end of January. Primarily in January, I would say. Okay. For all intents and purposes, Venus leaving by December 7th and then the Sun entering December 21st in Capricorn clears the energetic slate to kind of stay focused on the Sagittarius part of the chart, where we've got the Sag month and we've got Mercury retrograde. As the planets move through the sign of Capricorn, they will square the nodes. They will square the North Node and the South Node. They will square Chiron. Both the North Node and Chiron are in Aries. And they will trine Uranus. Venus has already squared the North Node November the 14th. Venus has already squared Chiron November the 27th. And Venus is getting ready to trine Uranus on December the 2nd, which is why I'm trying to get this information out there now. So that we have it as a reference. So that if I ever need to refer to this video, I can. So that if you ever need to look at the Capricorn house occupied by Capricorn in your chart and get a sense of what is the annual parade of personal planets through Capricorn doing in the Capricorn part of the chart, and what might be brewing or developing there as I deal with this Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini energy that is going to be such an important focus in December. By the time we get into January, Mars, who will go retrograde on December the 6th in Leo, by the time we get to January, Mars will have retrograded back into Cancer. And the Sun will oppose Mars on January the 15th, and Mercury will oppose Mars on January the 23rd from Capricorn. So the Sun in Capricorn will oppose Mars January 15th. Mercury in Capricorn will oppose Mars on Jan 23rd. And those are important and relevant because Mars, as he goes retrograde, there's a lot of energy in December, Jan, Feb, March, into the middle of April that has this quality of certain transits occurring 3 times. Mercury, as he goes retrograde, squaring Saturn, trining the North Node, trining Chiron, opposing Jupiter from Sagittarius. Mars, trining Saturn, trining the North Node, trining Neptune, squaring Chiron. opposing Pluto, most importantly, as he does his retrograde. Venus and Mercury in January, February, and March. One of the advantages of preparing for this video, it actually took me a second. I had to look at all the aspects that were occurring in December, January, and even into February. I mean, I'm going to have to soon, on December the 7th, Venus moves into Aquarius. And the aspects that the planets make as they transit through Aquarius are some of the more dramatic ones that we've seen in a while. They're going to conjunct Pluto. They're going to trine the South Node. They're going to trine Jupiter. They're going to square Uranus. So I'm going over the Capricorn part of the chart, but by the time we get to Aquarius and Pisces, I mean, Venus is going to be entering Pisces in the beginning of the year. And Venus is going to be going retrograde in Pisces in March. So there's a lot more astrology information to come. Right now, focusing on Capricorn, sorry, I don't want to... What I'm trying to say is we've been talking about this time for a long, long time, and change is here. Change is demanded. The time between now to the middle to the end of April is likely to be as action-filled and action-oriented as, for some of us, a lot of 24 has been relatively stagnant. And between Mercury retrograde in Sag and Mars retrograde between Cancer and Leo, and Venus and Mars retrograde between Aries and Pisces, a lot with regard to what needs to be released or resuscitated, what needs to be built and stabilized is going to be occurring. There's now no way out of this. We're in sort of the center of this hurricane of change, so to speak, that we're all going to be dealing with. And frankly, we all know that it's needed. We're tired of wanting to get somewhere. We're tired of, we just need to be doing the work to wrap up what we need to wrap up and get to where it is that we need to get to, keeping an open mind as to what the outcome needs to look like so that we can make sure that we're selecting the outcome that feels the most right to us. So Venus squaring the North Node in Chiron is part of this energy, something coming in the Capricorn part of the chart that may give us the sense that while it does not completely support the direction that we want to get to by the end of the first week of June, it may be something that we decide we're going to avail of temporarily to help us get to where it is that we want to get to. We want to get to a certain pace by the end of the first week of June, and someone decides, I'm going to take a temp job, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this on, I'm going to do this in order to get the resources that will help me to get from A to Z, for example, that kind of energy. Some action, opportunity, relationship, financial opportunity in the Capricorn part of the chart is needed to help us move towards the North Node eclipses in the Aries part of the chart. And either the same family of opportunity or something else in the Capricorn part of the chart can show up over the next few days or even in December, because the Venus trine Uranus is encoded into the new moon astrology for December, that actually carves out, that actually supports us moving in the right direction for us in the Taurus part of the chart. Now, as we get into January, with the Sun and Mercury, they will be opposing Mars from the Capricorn part of the chart. And the oppositions to Mars, when Mars is retrograde, along with his trining the North Node, trining Saturn, trining Neptune, squaring Chiron, opposing Pluto, he's got more oppositions he's got to contend with the Sun and Mercury, and even Venus when she enters Aquarius, which is going to happen in December. So the oppositions to Mars, I think, are going to have to be a separate video altogether, where I'm just going to give you the dates. We can't ignore them. We can't ignore them. Venus conjuncts Pluto again on December the 7th. reminiscent of Venus conjuncted Pluto last on February the 17th of this year. Mars and Pluto are going to oppose each other in the beginning of January for the second time, and then later on in April, the third time. We're in the midst of it, folks. What I want to convey to you is the personal planets have started their transits through Capricorn. Venus is moving ahead first right now. And by December 7th, she will be done. Whatever opportunities she brings, whatever she's asking and whatever's percolating for you with regard to how to bring the Capricorn part of the chart into alignment with where you want to go. And you may feel like there's something you may want to roll out as well, depending on the Capricorn part of the chart, what house is occupied there. You may feel like it may not just be a yin thing where you are waiting for something to come through. You may feel like it's a yang thing. Venus is in Capricorn. Capricorn sits in this house or that house. And I'm going to take some action to maybe generate something financially by December the 7th or something relationally. I'm going to plant some seeds. And it may be that further action related to that seed planting somehow picks up as we get past December the 21st when the sun enters Capricorn, and especially after December the 30th when the new moon in Capricorn occurs and we enter January and Mercury comes into January on January the 11th. So the first thing I want to alert you to is the strange delay between Venus going over Capricorn, then there being a break, and then the sun and the new moon and Mercury coming in. Fine. In some ways, it's helpful and easier to put the focus back into the Sagittarius part of the chart, which is going to be the order of the day in December. And the second thing I wanted to just kind of talk about is, the squares to the Aries part of the chart, this idea of something needing to be brought into line, availed of, some action needed of a Venusian kind, relationships, financial, creative opportunities, seed planting, building something, growing something, knowing what to protect, knowing what to nurture, and trying to get something to bear fruit in the Capricorn part of the chart. It could be something you take on temporarily that has no relationship with where you want to go in the Aries part of the chart, but could help you move in that direction. Or it could be something very much related to something you've been trying to do to help you move into the Aries part of the chart and move you to a direction that is more aligned to you in the Taurus part of the chart. It's fascinating. Just know that one of the themes in December, not the primary theme, but one of the themes in December is going to be this Venus trine Uranus, which is going to be encoded into the new moon. And certainly until December the 7th, just don't forget to ask yourself how you can bring the Capricorn part of the chart further into alignment with what you value and where you're trying to go. You might have some interesting ahas. You might have some interesting thoughts, interesting ideas for what to do, what to plant, what to create. Okay, hope that helped. As I said, some videos are more dramatic than others. This one just saying Venus through Capricorn, November 11th to December 7th, Sun December 21st to Jan 19th, New Moon on December 30th, Mercury Jan 8th to Jan 28th, squaring North Node, squaring Chiron, trining Uranus, and with the Sun and Mercury opposing Mars from Capricorn. And the Mars oppositions I'm going to cover in a separate video. We have to look at all the oppositions to Mars. Venus, Sun, Mercury, Pluto, between now and the middle of January, and Jan the 23rd. That's a whole, that's its own focused conversation that we're going to need to have. But just the purpose of this video is to have this information out there for reference, but also to give you a little time to reflect on, if you know your chart, what house is occupied by Capricorn and what has been going on since November the 11th that may be putting in your space of how can I bring this part of the chart, the house occupied by Capricorn, into alignment with where I want to go, and what opportunities have come up that I'm considering taking, that I should take, that I should create. It could be the same thing, it could be multiple things that could help me move in the direction that I want, whether they are temporary or whether they are much more part of the overall plan. And to understand that between December 7th and December 21st, energetically, there might be a bit of a gap or a bit of a break before the Capricorn part of the chart picks up again. And a lot of the activity with regard to communication and cognition is going to occur in January, when the Sun and Mercury will be in Capricorn. Very intriguing, because after December the 7th, I said, as I've mentioned to you, Venus comes into Aquarius till the end of the year, but the Sun isn't going into Aquarius till Jan the 19th. We'll have an even bigger break. And Mercury isn't going to go into Aquarius till Jan the 28th. So these gaps in the next few houses that Venus goes into, between when Venus goes into a house and asks for us to review alignment and brings opportunities, and us being able to take action on those opportunities, is going to increase in terms of time. It's just an energetic thing. All right, folks. As I said, if you're interested in the 30-minute check-in in one aspect, one house, one subject of your life, for $50, email address is below. If you would like to give any of my readings for a holiday gift, the email address is below. The regular readings, there's a thanks button underneath this video. You can use that to contribute to the channel. You can contribute to this channel for free by liking or commenting on the video. It gives a greater circulation on YouTube by subscribing to my YouTube channel. Next to subscribe button, bell icon, hover over it, wiggly bell on top, click on that. You'll be notified whenever I do new videos. And I think that's typically it in terms of what I say at the end of every video. I will do the new moon in Sagittarius video tomorrow. But I've already given you a sense of what the main themes are. The new moon is square Saturn. The new moon in Scorpio was trine Saturn. This particular new moon is square Saturn. And there is, anyway, this energy between the new moon squaring Saturn, but then a retrograde Mercury getting ready to trine Chiron, oppose Jupiter, square Saturn as well. So a lot of focus on the Sagittarius part of the chart and the dependencies around how we bring the Sagittarius part of the chart into alignment, with helping Saturn stabilize the Pisces part of the chart and us making endings and new beginnings in the Gemini part of the chart. More to follow. All right, thanks. Take care. I'm just fascinated by the astrology, because it's one of those things where we have the new moon in Sagittarius tomorrow, and the full moon on December the 15th is in Gemini, and Mercury will be stationary for that full moon. I'm not crazy about that. But Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, will be in Gemini, and Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, will be in Sagittarius. So we're going to have the two rulers, well, we're going to have the two dispositors of the chart in mutual reception. We'll cover that, my friends. But as I said, just before I get to the new moon, I just kind of wanted to ground you into whatever's going on in the Capricorn part of the chart. We're losing light, and it is time for me to say goodbye. Thanks.